The man I loved most spent my mother's death anniversary with another woman. He even married me just to protect his true love. I let all of that go. Until the day I found out my mother's death wasn't an accident. Turns out he too could kneel at my feet, begging for my forgiveness. The moment I gave up on Gonki was on my mother's death anniversary. It rained heavily that day. The cemetery ground was slippery. I fell while answering his phone call. I struggled to get up, picking up my phone from the mud. The screen was cracked. I didn't know when he had hung up. When I called back, no one answered. Almost instinctively, I opened a social media app. Shen Qiao had just posted, "So lucky to have you all on my birthday." The necklace she was wearing was the one I had picked out. He never bothered to hide from me the fact that he loved Shen Qiao. Gonki came home very late, dead drunk, brought upstairs by a designated driver. The driver helped him onto the sofa, hesitating several times as if wanting to say something. I poured the driver a glass of water, thanked him for his trouble, and added an extra 100 when I paid him. Before leaving, he lowered his voice and warned me, "Your husband, outside he might double quotes." He didn't finish. Between adults, a hint was enough. We all understood tacitly. I smiled and nodded, thanking him. This was the last bit of dignity I allowed myself. After closing the door, I still played the part of a good wife. I poured him water, wiped his face. But the hickey on his neck wouldn't wipe away, no matter how hard I tried. I fed him hangover soup and waited silently for him to sober up. Outside the window, city lights flickered, casting an unsteady glow on his profile. Just as I was almost lost in memories, Gonki woke up. "How did I get back?" "The driver brought you." He rubbed his temples, looking exhausted. "Sorry, I said I'd pick you up, but I didn't want to hear his explanation. "I know. What happened to your arm?" I hurt it answering his call. With only one hand, I couldn't reach my arm properly, could only clumsily tend to the wound with my foot. "It's nothing." I suddenly remembered his birthday one year. Our relationship was okay back then. A marriage of convenience, but we understood each other, respected each other. To outsiders, we looked like a good match. I single-handedly arranged his birthday party, inviting many mutual friends. They praised me for being a good wife, him for being lucky. He accepted it all with a smile. He peeled shrimp for me, picked crab meat for me, his eyes holding a gentleness I had never seen before. I almost drowned in that illusory bubble of happiness. But bubbles burst easily. During the party, Gonki took a call and rushed downstairs, leaving me and the guests staring at each other. He still hadn't returned by the time everyone left. Our friends had heard rumors about our strange marital situation, and probably knew he had gone to see Shen Qiao. They carefully hid their sympathy and pity for me. But I knew those emotions too well. No matter how well hidden, I could feel them. I could only pretend not to see, could only force a smile. I still clung to hope, making up a clumsy lie about a sudden work emergency. But Shen Qiao's post ruthlessly shattered my self-deception. "Thank you for always being by my side." The picture showed Gonki's back. I recognized it instantly. In that moment I understood. The 5 years of marriage I'd painstakingly built, my self-righteous thoughtfulness, those warm moments, none of it could compare to Shen Qiao's pout or a single whine. And Gonki had never, ever considered my feelings. He had never, ever respected my existence. Hard to believe, but this marriage was actually Gonki's idea. Back then, Shen Qiao's career was taking off, but paparazzi caught her, and Gonki entering a hotel together intimately. She had a boyfriend at the time, and her company was heavily promoting her with a fixed on-screen partner. Rivals wanted to bring her down, flooding the internet with stories accusing her of infidelity, playing with 2 men at once. Her career plummeted. Gonki contacted me, asked if I would marry him. I was overwhelmed by the sudden surprise, could barely control my expression. Gonki emphasized one thing: a fake marriage. My heart turned cold in that instant. But I'd never been good at refusing him. To protect Shen Qiao's career, her reputation, he was even willing to marry me, to let me make a statement, using my name to guarantee that there was nothing between him and Shen Qiao. I had a good reputation back then, giving speeches everywhere, my tragic life story inspiring countless people. Sometimes I thought this was the only thing we had in common, besides family background and education. We were both simps. He got something in the end. I don't know what. As for me, I got a marriage that existed in name only. What time is it now? 4. You haven't slept? I was very calm. Look at the divorce papers on the table when you have time. He was shocked. Divorce? Yes. Ji Ching. Do you know what you're saying? He frowned, his expression stern without anger. I know the cost of breaking the contract. I'll pay you back as soon as I can. We had signed an agreement. This fake marriage was supposed to last 6 years, but I couldn't keep up the act anymore. My life had been a mess once, and he showed me light. Now that light had dimmed too much, no longer worth chasing. Jiu Qing, I thought you understood your place. I understood. I was just a one-armed village woman. Being able to marry him was a blessing I couldn't have wished for. Leaving me, you'll lose everything you have now. I stared intently at the face I had loved for so many years. Suddenly felt a bit ridiculous. I'll return everything I took from you. It's all written in the divorce agreement. If I missed anything, just tell me directly. Looking back, I never thought I could come this far. From a small mountain village to the big city, entering university, all the way to becoming the principal and living signboard of an education group. I had already gained enough. The only time I overestimated myself was agreeing to Gong Qi's proposal and marrying him. Funny to think, I was almost 30 then, but still held naive fantasies about love. I believed too much in the power of effort. But in matters of the heart, I had to admit, effort changed nothing. My packed luggage was already in the bedroom. I had been waiting for him to come back, to talk things through clearly. The wheels of the suitcase rolled across the floor, breaking the silence of the room. Gong Qi still sat on the sofa, a lit cigarette in his hand. His tie hung loosely around his neck, looking a bit disheveled. He asked me, why? Gong Qi, I don't have the same grand ambitions as you. Ambitions? He laughed coldly. I thought we were compatible partners in interest. I stopped at the entrance, looking back at the place I had lived for 5 years. Thinking back carefully, there were very few warm scenes. Most of the time I was alone. I've already repaid what I owed your family. I don't know which part of this stung him. He suddenly stood up, his usual refined demeanor gone. You really think you've repaid it? Where would you be standing today if it weren't for us? I looked at him calmly, but a sharp pain still pierced my heart. I had to admit, he was clever. He knew exactly which words would hit my sore spot. Then how do you want me to repay it? He realized he had lost his composure and softened his voice. Sorry, I drank too much, lost control of my emotions. He just finally said what he always wanted to say. He always felt I owed him. So he took my compromises for granted. I was born in a small mountain village in the northwest. Before the age of 7, life was relatively happy. That year, my family built a new house. A small earthquake struck, and the house collapsed. My grandmother shielded me with her body. A stone slab crushed her head. Red and white spilled across the ground. A sight I will never forget for the rest of my life. My left arm was also lost in that accident. Fortunately, my parents were working in the fields and escaped unharmed. I gradually adapted to life with one arm. I thought I had hit rock bottom, that the suffering was over. But fate never let me go. My father was diagnosed with uremia. Dialysis after dialysis drained our family's savings. He committed suicide. Afraid of bringing bad luck, he didn't even dare die in our wooden shack. He ran far away. When the villagers found him at the bottom of a cliff, his body was already cold. My mother went mad. One day, she got lost and never came back. I became fate's abandoned child completely. I cried a lifetime's worth of tears before I turned 10. After that, it became hard for me to cry. At 10, I was taken in by Gong Qi's father. Gong Qi's grandfather was in the late stages of lung cancer, beyond medical help. When science failed, they tried other methods. Someone suggested finding a poor, unfortunate child to sit by his bed daily, reciting scriptures and praying. Even if it couldn't cure the cancer, it might accumulate merits for the next life. Ridiculous, right? But that ridiculous idea changed the course of my life. I went from that barren mountain village to the magnificent Gong family mansion. While the servants cast pitying glances my way, I worried about dirtying the floor with my shoes. If I dirtied the floor, they probably wouldn't want me anymore. I'd go back to the pig pen at the village head's house. I waited in the living room for a long time, so long my legs went numb. No one came. The servants whispered. Maybe they changed their mind. This child does look pitiful. Just wasn't meant for a wealthy life. I picked at the seams of my pants, my heart sinking little by little. Hey, Synopsis. That was the first time I saw Gonki. He stood on the stairs, looking down at me from above. His eyes held all the dignity and pride that people of my class did not possess. Take her to bathe. She'd be living here from now on. I'll never forget that moment. The setting sun cast its light on his cheeks, shimmering gold. I humbly thought, even the savior my grandmother spoke of couldn't compare to this. Only much, much later did I remember. He probably called me one arm back then, not Synopsis. What I saw in his eyes wasn't dignity and pride, but disgust and contempt. My memories had just beautified him. Beautified that moment. But a person needs something beautiful in their heart to keep living, right? Gonki took a long time to respond. I had already let go of those ridiculous hopes. It wasn't that he was unwilling to divorce. He just didn't take me seriously. Or perhaps I still held some value he needed. He would only let me go after squeezing out my last drop of worth. Before stepping down from my position, I remained busy. Finally, one evening, I got a call from Gonki. Ji Qing, help me one more time. I remained silent. Shen Qiao and I were photographed together. I can't help you. Over the years, he had used my reputation to make considerable money. And in most people's eyes, I had transformed from a resilient role model into a profit-driven businesswoman. My influence much diminished. Just issue a statement. I signaled my assistant to leave first. We're getting divorced soon. I didn't agree. He was still the same, certain that I would help him. So there was no plea in his voice. After this time, I'll agree to the divorce. I'll turn a blind eye to the asset division list. You don't need to turn a blind eye. Lawsuit or signing directly, the choice is yours. At this critical juncture, a highly publicized divorce lawsuit would undoubtedly confirm Shen Qiao's status as the other woman. Ji Qing. His voice held barely suppressed anger. Probably because he hadn't expected me to be so ungrateful. If you truly love her, you should give her a proper status. Unless she doesn't want it. So I could speak with this much sarcasm too. Gonki, isn't kneeling tiring? Since the masks were already off, I wouldn't compromise this time. Before he could react, I hung up first. I filed for divorce with the court. Late one night, Gonki showed up at my door. I had just returned from the company, carrying my bag with one hand, utterly exhausted. The board of directors, using the excuse of not finding a suitable successor, refused to let me go. I knew this was all instigated by Gonki, but I couldn't just abandon my responsibilities for the sake of pride, leaving a mess for my subordinates. Gonki leaned against the doorframe, a slender cigarette between his fingers. Smoke curled up, shrouding his eyes and brows. Gonki had inherited the good genes from his mother, making him exceptionally striking. Combined with his background, few women could resist his tenderness. But that tenderness, he never spared for me. Ji Qing, what do you actually want? He was sure this was one of my little tricks, retreating to advance, trying to get his attention. So he generously gave me a cooling-off period. But I was never like Shen Qiao. I wouldn't use such cheap tactics. And I never believed the squeaky wheel gets the grease. A divorce? He frowned. Do you know what that means? It means, I said, inserting the key into the lock, I'll start living the life I want. No longer trapped in the rut of self-interest. All these years with me, none of it was what you wanted. Anger surged in his eyes. Over the years he had grown steady, learned to conceal his emotions. It was rare for him to be this exposed. Seems my words had wounded his lofty pride. Does it matter? Stunned by my retort, Gonki was speechless for a moment. I had never dismissed him like this before, whether in public or private. He realized he had lost his composure, took a deep breath, and his expression returned to calm. Mr. Gong, please step aside. He moved aside, but then turned and entered the apartment. You're living in a place like this? His words were full of criticism. He seemed to forget I had also lived in a pig pen, in a concrete cave. If there's nothing else, you can leave. He didn't move. I couldn't figure out what he was up to. Mr. Gong, instead of coming to see me, you'd be better off asking a paparazzo who tipped them off to wait there. He was smart. He understood instantly. Contrary to my expectations, he didn't angrily accuse me of slandering his precious one. He just asked with slight sarcasm, "Are you trying to drive a wedge between me and Shen Qiao? You're the one doubting her. Otherwise, why would my hint resonate so quickly?" I had realized long ago that Shen Qiao didn't dislike him. But rather than being the woman behind a successful man, she preferred the spotlight, building her own career. After I married Gong Qi, instead of retreating behind the scenes, I became his business partner. That caught her off guard, making her want to watch me stumble repeatedly, compromise repeatedly, witness my own husband fall into her arms time and again. She enjoyed that feeling. "Mr. Gong, this is a good opportunity." If no one came forward to clarify, Shen Qiao couldn't withstand the public pressure. Maybe she would actually marry him then. "I'm not that despicable." He snorted coldly and left. Before the court summoned him, Gong Qi signed the papers himself. I stepped down from my position and left for Cameroon without a backward glance, to teach in a volunteer program. In that educational backwater of the world, I stayed for 3 years. In the 4th year, I met Fu Chenji. The wind was strong that day, gusts swirling in the air. His hair was flecked with sand as he stood at the classroom door, smiling broadly. "Teacher Ji, got a moment to talk?" Meeting a fellow countryman abroad was a pleasant surprise, but I still said, "I'm in class." He nodded understandingly. "I'll wait until you're free." With that, he turned and left. He was a cheerful person. When I went to find him after class, he was playing soccer with the children. It was still early, so I sat on a flower bed to wait. After the game ended, the kids crowded around him, chattering noisily. He didn't seem annoyed. A faint smile on his lips as he pulled bottles of water from a cardboard box at his feet, handing them out one by one. The children cheered. Here, water was as scarce as educational resources. That's when I learned he had also donated a large shipment of supplies. Fu Chenji twisted open the last bottle from the box and handed it to me, getting straight to the point. "Teacher Ji, I need you on board." I shook my head. "I'm sorry." Then I remembered who he was. The Fu and Gong families had similar business interests, and had always been rivals. By Gong Qi's generation, the competition was out in the open. Fu Chenji was the Fu family's illegitimate son. He needed to prove himself to gain recognition as the heir. He sought me out to join forces against Gong Qi, but I really had no interest in such matters. Cameroon was tough, but I was fulfilling my true purpose here. I felt happy. Perhaps you should see this. It was a video. The footage was blurry, shot from a strange angle, clearly a secret recording. Shen Qiao's voice came through clearly. "Already arranged for someone to get you a green card. If you come looking for me again, know that I have countless ways to make your life a living hell. Of course, my father's matter is buried deep in my gut. No one will ever know you were the one who paid him to run down that crazy woman." That last line was deliberately spoken by the person recording, trying to get leverage on her. Shen Qiao slapped him. "Don't you fucking talk nonsense." She didn't admit it, but her reaction was proof enough. Fu Chenji flipped through photos on his phone, an air of confident triumph about him. "You might not know the bald man in the video, but you definitely know his father." The words "crazy woman" had already given me a chilling suspicion. And sure enough, his father was the one who had hit my mother with his car. And Shen Qiao had orchestrated it all. I trembled violently. The school principal noticed the commotion and came over. Fu Chenji maintained his smile, speaking fluent English. "Teacher Ji isn't feeling well. Could you help her rest, please?" I couldn't understand why. I truly didn't know how I had wronged her. I was just fate's abandoned child, while Shen Qiao had been favored by heaven since birth. Everything she wanted was within easy reach. The only thing I had was my crazy adult mother, who would still unhesitatingly give me the expired bread she found in the trash. But my wonderful mother, she died. Not from the car accident. The accident left her paralyzed from the waist down, unable to wander off anymore. She died by suicide. She had rare moments of clarity. The last time she was lucid, she carefully braided my hair. For once, she didn't spit at me. She kissed the top of my head. She sang softly. "Twinkle, twinkle, little star in the sky, Mama's heart. Oh Lu Bing Hua ... The tea gardens back home are in bloom. Mama's precious is at the world's end." If I had known what she intended to do, I wouldn't have gone back to school that night. When I learned of her death, I thought it was just a cruel joke. My mother, who loved me so much, how could she bear to leave me alone? She had once travelled from north to south, taking 6 whole years to walk to me on foot. She was utterly changed, her mind clouded with no memory of those years. She just clutched the newspaper with my picture, babbling my name. I broke down crying, but she cried out in joy, pulling a floral dress from her dirty cloth bag and holding it up against me. Mama, Mama, I've grown up. This little dress, I can't fit into it anymore. Mama, Mama, the bread is moldy. I can't eat it. Mama, Mama, I don't like floral hair clips anymore. My mother, this mother of mine, how could she bear to leave me? But the cold hand under the white cloth shredded my last hope. After she died, I thought I had no more tears left. But it turned out my tears hadn't run dry yet. That night, I sat by the window until the first light of dawn. Fuchenji arrived early. Have you made your decision, Teacher Jia? He wasn't surprised by my swollen eyes. He just handed me an ice pack. People like him were probably skilled at twisting the knife. He had torn apart the illusion of my peaceful life and laid the bare truth before me. Deep, calculating, extremely dangerous. Cooperating with him was like asking a tiger for its skin. He understood my hesitation, smiling faintly. For you, Teacher Jiu, I am undoubtedly the best choice. The Fu Group's education division and entertainment industry were both under his control. Fu Chenji have come prepared. I couldn't refuse. After 3 years, I boarded a plane back home. The sky outside the window was a brilliant blue. Having not slept all night, I soon drifted into a dream. After arriving at the Gong household, I spent every night by Grandfather Gong's bedside, chanting scriptures until dawn. In the empty room, only his faint breathing and the tick-tock of machines kept me company. I was always terrified he would pass away. If I lost my only value, I would surely be sent back to the pig pen. Every time a sliver of light appeared in the sky, I knew I had earned one more day here. But it didn't last. 3 months later, Grandfather Gong died. I became completely superfluous. Gong Qi's father was merciful enough to cover all expenses and send me to school. I studied day and night to catch up on the lessons I'd missed. In high school, I represented the city in a national competition and won an award. A one-armed girl. Through sheer effort, standing on a podium under the spotlight. What an inspiring story. Gong Qi's father saw the commercial potential in me, instructing the media to amplify my experiences. They told the world about my miserable childhood and my diligent, striving adolescence. He attributed my achievements to his sponsorship and the efforts of his education group. I didn't mind at all. I was grateful to him. Gong Qi was right. Without him, I might have died long ago. So I accepted being manipulated. I just never imagined my entire life would follow his plan. During university, I was shuttled between countless interviews and speeches. My one act of rebellion was secretly signing up to teach in my hometown. When the teaching term ended, the person who came for me was Gong Qi. He had already taken over the Gong family's education group. Only then did I realize my supposed rebellion was also part of Gong Qi's father's plan. A smart, one-armed girl, giving back to her hometown after achieving success. What an inspiring, touching story of dedication. I still remember that day on the vast northwestern plains. Gong Qi, in his suit and tie, found me, his face displaying a politeness and maturity I didn't recognize. Miss Jiu, let's talk. He came personally because I wanted to stay in my hometown, refusing the many lobbyists sent to bring me back. After you sign this contract, the group will build several schools here. As for teachers, we're training many more people like you. Those children had no choice. To survive and study, they had to sign a contract. And after graduating, they'd be assigned to these regions, earning the Gong Group a good reputation. Ji Qing, the Gong family spent a lot on you, not for you to end up here. You deserve a broader horizon. Seeing my hesitation, Gong Qi invoked the family's kindness. Jiu Qing, if it weren't for us, you'd have rotted away here long ago. I signed. From then on, I became the face of the Gong education group. And later, I married Gong Qi. That was my manipulated life. Born because of the Gong family. Living for the Gong family. Did you have a nightmare, Teacher Ji? Fuchenji handed me an open bottle of water. I nodded, my hands and feet icy cold, the tear tracks on my face long dry. Would you be interested in telling me about it? He didn't seem aware of his impertinence. You must know about a treatment called exposure therapy. Find the source of the nightmare, gradually confront it, until you overcome it completely. I'm already on a flight heading straight for that nightmare. He caught my meaning, a faint smile on his lips. He had arranged everything in a city. At the shareholders' meeting, some were critical of me because I had worked for the Gong family. Fuchenji overruled all objections, staking his own reputation to get me into the Fu Group's education division. Afterwards, I couldn't help asking, "Aren't you afraid I'll switch sides?" "Teacher Jiu, I trust your character." Regardless of my position, he stubbornly called me Teacher Jiu. Besides, he smiled slightly at me, "I don't think you're interested in playing Mission Impossible." The first time I ran into Gong Qi and Shen Qiao after returning home was at a charity gala. I rarely attended such events. The first and only time I went with Gong Qi after our wedding, a waiter spilled red wine all over me. Flustered, she tried to clean me up and accidentally pulled off my sleeve, exposing the scar on my left arm. A very undignified scene. But I didn't make a fuss, just quietly withdrew. Thinking back now, maybe it was deliberate, meant to humiliate me publicly. But I was too oblivious back then, unconcerned with such maneuvers, indifferent to the gazes cast my way. Disgust. Pity. What truly stung was Gong Qi's comment. "Ji Qing, you don't need to accompany me to these events anymore." He didn't explain, but I knew why. This favored son of heaven valued face above all. I looked at him calmly and nodded. This time I stood beside Fu Chenji. The hall buzzed with conversation as Gong Qi and Shen Qiao entered arm in arm. A striking pair. Thanks to Fu Chenji's exposure therapy, I could now maintain a decent smile when I saw Shen Qiao. But no one knew that my right hand, clutching the wine glass, was white-knuckled. I greeted them first. "Mr. Gong, Mrs. Gong, long time no see." Many people knew about my previous marriage to Gong Qi, so quite a few were eager for a scene. Gong Qi was slightly taken aback when he saw me, his expression complex. Shen Qiao, always looking down on others, wouldn't even let her gaze linger on me, as if one glance might soil her eyes. I used to be used to it. Didn't care. Now, I just wanted to shatter her pride, make her taste what it felt like to lose. Fu Chenji smiled. "Qingqing's mistaken. This isn't Mrs. Gong." "All right." Gong Qi hadn't remarried after the divorce. Shen Qiao's face fell slightly. She glanced at me, her tone laced with sarcasm. "Seems the climate in Africa doesn't suit everyone." Gong Qi pressed his lips together, remaining silent. Fu Chenji said lightly, "Not as much as it suits you, Miss Shen, spending all your time running to hospitals." I hadn't expected him to be so sharp. Despite his depth, he had always been polite with me. Shen Qiao, most conscious of her appearance, froze at being openly mocked like this. Before she could respond, Fu Chenji put an arm around my shoulder and said quietly, "Qingqing, let's go say hello to President Wang." His hand was restrained, not actually touching me. His gesture was clearly to show Gong Qi that we were now on the same side. Gong Qi glanced at my shoulder, his gaze heavy. "Let's go together, President Fu. President Wang and I are old acquaintances." Just then, a waiter with a tray bumped into me. Glasses shattered, the crashing sound drawing everyone's attention. Wine dripped down my dress, staining the ornate floor. I was a mess. Shen Qiao gasped, but her eyes couldn't hide the mockery in Schadenfreude. The same trick again. Fu Chenji took off his jacket and draped it over my shoulders. He quietly reprimanded the waiter and led me to the dressing room. Unlike the pampered Gong Qi, his palm was rough but warm. I had prepared. There was another dress waiting in the dressing room. When I came out of the dressing room, Fu Chenji was nowhere to be seen. I headed back towards the main hall, but a hand grabbed my arm and yanked me into a utility closet. I almost screamed, but he clamped his hand over my mouth first. "It's me." It was Gong Qi. "What's your relationship with Fu Chenji?" He was very close. I could smell the faint alcohol on his breath. "Mr. Gong, please let me go." "Do you have to call me that? What was wrong with him now? What should I call you? Young master?" He was silent, just staring at me like that, his eyes gleaming brightly in the dark. "Gong Qi, let me go." He grabbed my arm, his tone hard. "Tell me." I found him so ridiculous. "What? Just because I divorced you, I have to become a nun?" Gongki, don't be so childish. I'm done with the Gong family. I don't owe you anything anymore. Please, just leave me alone. I struggled. He didn't move, his breathing growing heavier. Finally, he bit down on my shoulder. I raised my hand and slapped him. The sound was loud. We both froze. I had never hit him before. Gongki clearly never thought I'd have the nerve. Really different now, aren't you? Back then, Gongki was malicious, always finding ways to torment me. He'd bitten me plenty of times. Back then, I was walking on eggshells at the Gong mansion, terrified of displeasing them. I didn't dare show anger, didn't dare speak up. I wouldn't even dare push him away when he bit me, let alone slap him. Do you hit Fu Chenji like that too? He's not as harmless as he looks. I knew from the start how dangerous Fu Chenji was. I've never hit him. His grip tightened. I bit my lip, refusing to cry out. You can't bear to. Ridiculous. I kicked him. And while he was distracted by the pain, I turned and left the utility closet. After turning a corner, I saw Fu Chenji. He stood at the end of the corridor, hands in his pockets, a slight curve to his brows and eyes. Teacher Jiyu, don't you think Gongki is like a child throwing a tantrum for candy? I frowned, inexplicably feeling humiliated. You heard everything. He shrugged. Heard a commotion in the utility closet and got curious. So I eavesdropped for a bit. He continued, unperturbed. Because he can't get the candy, he keeps crying and demanding it from the adults. Have you never considered why Gongki keeps trying to provoke you, over and over? I remained silent. Teacher Ji, you've been through so much. You probably don't realize how rare your emotions, your joy, anger, sorrow, happiness are in someone else's eyes. His words made me shiver. Gongki is the child, I am the adult. The candy is ... my emotions? My reactions to him? Or my love for him? Mr. Fu, this isn't funny. Teacher Jiu, I told you, I studied psychology. His tone was confident. Gongki is my enemy. I understand him better than you do, probably. After all, know your enemy and know yourself, and you can fight 100 battles without disaster, right? With his prompting, details from my memories suddenly came alive. Gongki was heaven's favored son. Anything he wanted was within reach. But with me, he couldn't even get anger or joy. It puzzled him, frustrated him, and made him try harder. Time and again, he tried to make me angry, catching bugs to scare me, biting me like a dog. He tried to make me happy too. He took me on the Ferris wheel, go-karting. Those were little bits of sweetness he tossed my way, and I treasured them for 20 years. But I never learned to smile. I spent every day terrified of being abandoned. I never told Gongki that I loved him. In his eyes, my return to the Gong group and my marriage to him were all about repaying a debt. He was too proud to admit he cared about a one-armed orphan girl. After the wedding, he acted out again and again, testing me, trying to make me jealous, make me care, make me bend to him first. But every time, I remained calm. Even the divorce, I framed it not as giving up on him, but as pursuing freedom and self-worth. He probably hasn't even realized it himself, that he's fallen in love with you, Teacher Ji. Fu Chenji's tone was almost gleeful. He probably still thinks his true love is Shen Piao. But life after divorce isn't turning out how he imagined. Fu Chenji bent closer. Teacher Ji, you. Gongki is right behind you. With that, he tilted his head slightly and kissed me. Teacher Ju, haven't you ever kissed before? Close your eyes. After a moment's hesitation, I did as he said. I don't know how long passed before Fu Chenji finally released me. There was no sign of Gongki behind me. Fu Chenji smirked. He left with his tail between his legs. Oh? Back in the banquet hall, we sat close together. Fu Chenji asked me to dance. With only my right hand. Dancing was laughable for me. I had never danced. No one had ever offered to teach me like he did. Fu Chenji was patient, charming, handsome, hard not to be drawn to. I could feel Gongki's gaze on me, on our clasped hands. Fu Chenji deliberately acted intimate, leaning close to my ear, his voice low. Teacher Jiu, if you doubt what I said, why not test it? See if he comes running back like a lapdog when you show him a little kindness. It felt too despicable. I couldn't agree to such a plan. He saw my hesitation. First, shatter his pride. Then, Shen Qiao. Fu Chenji was terrifying. He understood human nature too well. I couldn't refuse. The photos of me and Gong Qi appeared in the entertainment news. In them, we appeared to be kissing. The headline was suitably sensational. Shock. Gong Qi and Ji Qing reuniting? Shen Qiao abandoned. The photos were shot from an angle. Nothing inappropriate had actually happened. I didn't issue a statement. Neither did Gong Qi's side. Rumor had it Shen Qiao was furious, even lashing out at a young actress in her own production. Amidst the flurry of true and false news, the rumors of Gong Qi reuniting with his ex-wife grew stronger. 3 days later, both Shen Qiao and I happened to be working in City C. She stormed into my dressing room. She couldn't swallow this humiliation. After tracking me down, she finally cornered me here. How could she tolerate someone she had once so thoroughly disdained competing with her for a man? That man had once humiliated himself by marrying a woman he didn't love, all for her sake. With just a little tantrum from her, he would divorce. How much he loved her. But this woman returned, and he was secretly meeting her, making a fool of her in front of everyone. The moment she entered, she grabbed my hair and slapped me. Ji Qing, have you no shame? With only one arm, I was at a disadvantage from the start. Besides, I hadn't planned on fighting her. That would be too undignified. The staff was stunned at first. When they recovered, they rushed over, trying to separate us. You better stay away from Gong Qi. She didn't look so great herself. Hair disheveled, face contorted. She must be feeling what I felt back then, right? I looked at her calmly. Miss Shen, you should trust your boyfriend. Of course, she couldn't trust him. Before, when he was married to me, Gong Qi could indulge her whims. Now, when he's with her, he could indulge mine too. She was scared too. Scared of becoming a laughingstock. Scared that Gong Qi's feelings were only because he couldn't have her. Scared she couldn't compete with a one-armed orphan girl. Mr. Gong and I were just catching up. Miss Shen, you're in the entertainment industry. You know about camera angles and staged photos, don't you? I believe I've done nothing wrong, so I didn't take the rumors seriously. I didn't expect you, Miss Shen, to resort to violence over a baseless photo. Perhaps you should learn to control your temper, Miss Shen, to avoid being used by people with ulterior motives. Unfortunately for her, I was that person with ulterior motives. Her anger didn't subside because of my words. I glanced at her dismissively, then said to the staff behind me, I'm so sorry for the trouble. I need to freshen up. Could you please move my slot back a bit? My assistant and makeup artist gathered around, starting to fix my appearance. After my speech, I was surprised to see Fu Chenji backstage. Mr. Fu, what brings you here? I happened to be in City C. Heard you had a little trouble, Teacher Ji, so I came to see you. His gaze fell on my slightly swollen right cheek. Would you do me the honor of having dinner with me, Teacher Ji? I was in a good mood and didn't refuse. After dinner, he suggested a walk to digest the meal. We walked along the riverbank. The moon was bright, the stars sparse, the evening breeze gentle. City C is my hometown. There was a rare absence of his usual fake smile on his face. Teacher Ji, see that bridge over there? Following his gaze, I nodded. My mother once jumped from there, holding me in her arms. It was winter. The wind was strong. When we hit the water, my mother regretted it. She kept holding me up, trying to give me a chance to live. Soon, my grandfather and father arrived. My grandfather thought I was unconscious, thought I couldn't hear what he said to the bodyguards. He said, save the small one. The big one will only bring endless trouble. My father wasn't in power yet. He just meekly obeyed my grandfather's orders. Anyway, he had countless mistresses. Losing one didn't matter. I was 7 years old. Because of one sentence, I lost my mother. He looked down at me, the corners of his mouth slightly upturned, but his eyes were cold. Teacher Ji, we are the same. It was hard to describe what I felt at that moment. I wanted to offer comfort, but I felt he didn't need it. So I said nothing, walking the rest of the way in silence. On the way back to my hotel, Fu Chenji said, Teacher Ji, I have good news for you. I gestured for him to continue. The driver who hit your mother, he's a distant relative of Gong Qi's mother. He handed me a stack of documents. Guess what role Gong Qi played in all this? An innocent, reckless youth. Did he want to become your only support? Or ... was he just unwilling to refuse his beautiful childhood friend's request? Gong Qi and Shen Qiao grew up together. As I took the documents, my right hand trembled, my hands and feet turning icy cold. Fu Chenja glanced at me in the rearview mirror, his expression unreadable. He did this on purpose, choosing this moment to tell me. Too early, and I wouldn't be able to play along with Gong Qi. Too late, and I wouldn't have the heart to use him. But right now, I had already declared war on Shen Qiao. I was in too deep. The Chenju wanted to push me, to make me go all the way. Teacher Jiu, don't look at me like that. I'm just giving you a little push at the right time. You should understand, we are the same. Everything we do is to get justice for our mothers. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't remember how I got back to my hotel room. How ridiculous. I had lived with my enemy for so long, and I had seen him as my only light, hoping he would save me from my misery. Wrong. It was wrong from the very beginning. I should never have gone to the Gong mansion. At least my mother might still be alive, somewhere in the world. It was all my fault. No, it was their fault. I called my assistant from the next room. Hit me. My assistant was bewildered, didn't dare. Shen Qiao's slap had only left my right cheek slightly red and swollen. No real harm. And my assistant, like her, had manicured nails. After one night, things escalated quickly. Shen Qiao, who was supposed to be recording a TV show, was photographed showing up at C University. Meanwhile, Ji Qing, attending C University's anniversary event, delayed her appearance and emerged with a visible red mark on her face. How could that not fuel speculation? I had orchestrated all of this. I knew we both had events in City C that day. So I arranged to meet Gong Qi in advance and deliberately had those angled photos taken. C University was my carefully chosen location. With its large student population and lax security, it was easy for Shen Qiao to slip in. And today's college students are smart, bored, imaginative, and active on social media. They were the perfect vehicle for spreading gossip. No one sympathized with Shen Qiao. In the public eye, she was the one who had stolen Gong Qi from me back then. People just felt karma had come full circle. The day I returned to a city, Gong Qi came to the airport to pick me up without any notice. I spotted his car from afar and deliberately tried to hide, hurrying away. He wouldn't let it go, following in his car. Seeing me walk faster, he eventually got out, grabbed me, and pushed me into the passenger seat. He saw the red mark on my face and swallowed whatever he was about to say. What he saw was the mark my assistant had left last night. She had slapped me hard, her nails scratching my face. I never cared about my appearance, as long as it drove a wedge between them. Even if it scarred, it was worth it. Does it hurt? His tone was unusually gentle. It just made me nauseous. Mr. Gong, from now on, unless it's necessary, let's not see each other anymore. My eyes reddened slightly. I stubbornly refused to look at him. This was the first time I had shown weakness in front of him. He stopped the car, took a first aid kit from the trunk. His hands trembled slightly. I moved away from his cotton swab. It was my fault last time. I shouldn't have asked you to meet Mr. Gong. I thought such ridiculous entertainment news wouldn't fool anyone. But Miss Shen believed it. Gong Qi heard the deliberate distance in my words. He was silent for a moment, then said, "If you don't put medicine on it, it'll scar." He looked a bit awkward. "I'm not as precious as Miss Shen." "Jiu Qing, do you have to make me angry like this?" He forcefully grabbed my chin, forcing me to look at him, but his fingers carefully avoided the wound. I was starting to believe what Fu Chenji said. Gong Qi applied the medicine to my face. His expression was serious, his movements careful and gentle. When he saw me bite my lip from the sting, his touch softened even more. "You were once Mrs. Gong. You are precious enough." The last two words were very soft. My tears fell at the right moment, sliding over the wound, making me wince in pain. "Did you ever admit that, Mr. Gong? In those 5 years we were together, did you ever once treat me as your wife?" His expression froze, speechless. My voice choked. "Gong Qi, I just don't know how to cry out in pain. But I do feel pain. I told you last time. I came back just to dedicate myself better to education. Fuchenji happened to give me that opportunity. There's nothing between him and me. Yes, I did like you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have married you. And I certainly wouldn't have thought that giving you freedom would make you fall in love with me. ... He was completely stunned. Shock practically spilling from his eyes. I don't love you anymore. Please don't give me false hope. Let's just leave it at that. Please ... Let's stop here. He struggled to speak. What did you say? You ... loved me. I didn't answer. I opened the car door and ran. After that day, Gongki didn't come looking for me for a long time. Just as Fuchenji said, he had never realized he loved me. He needed time to face his own heart. I just needed to wait patiently. Half a month later, Gongki was waiting for me at my apartment door. He was clearly drunk. When he saw me, he stumbled over, burrowed into my arms like a puppy, nuzzling against me. I was stunned. We had been this intimate before. Now it felt like a lifetime ago. When I was in middle school, Gongki's mother passed away. During that time, Gongki was extremely fragile, and his temper was incredibly volatile. He holed up in his room day and night, almost completely cut off from the outside world. Shen Qiao tried to comfort him a few times. When it didn't work, she gave up. Back then, I was the only child in the Gong mansion around his age. Besides, I had lost my father. My mother was gone. No one understood Gongki's feelings better than me. Gongki's father asked me to stay with him. He didn't like me back then. When I entered his room, he kept throwing things at me. Leaving immediately after coming in would surely displease Gongki's father. I crouched down by the wall, my right arm around my knees, silently enduring his attacks. When he got tired of throwing, he yelled at me to get out. I didn't move. He couldn't do anything about it, so he bit my shoulder. During those days, he was like a wounded young animal, licking his wounds alone. I pitied him. I patted his head. For once, he didn't curse at me. Instead, he let go, hung his head, and leaned against my shoulder. I stayed with him like that, in silence. Until one day, he finally decided to leave his room. I went looking for you in Cameroon. I told myself I just wanted to see how badly you'd fare without me. But I miscalculated. I saw a genuine smile on your face. I can't describe how I felt at that moment. You never smiled at me like that. Then I saw you with Fuchenji. Why him of all people? You smiled at him so happily. On our wedding day, you didn't even smile. I knew you didn't want to marry me, but I used that ridiculous excuse to fob you off. There were so many other ways to solve the problem. Your contract with the Gong family was about to expire. I couldn't let you go. So I married you, made us partners in interest, kept you working for the Gong family. That's how I convinced myself. It wasn't for anything else. Just for Shen Qiao, just for the Gong family. When I proposed, your expression was so awful. Back then, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought I truly loved Shen Qiao. Everyone told me we were perfect together, so I thought I should love her. Later, I realized that wasn't true. After we got together openly, I found myself thinking about you more often. I thought it was just lingering regret. I was too slow. I only just realized I was wrong. It wasn't regret. What a classic jerk move. Being a jerk without even realizing it. Shen Qiao brought up marriage several times. I always put it off. I hadn't figured it out. I just felt, that wasn't what I wanted. He rambled on for a long time. What a beautiful story. He hoped to mend what was broken. But I was part of the Avengers. Gongki, back when you became an accomplice, did you ever think I would be hurt? You never really looked at me, so you couldn't even imagine falling in love with someone as lowly as me. I gently stroked his hair, my eyes reddening, and said, I know. That night, Gongki and I poured out our hearts. Finally, I said to him, since you're together now, stay together properly. I won't disturb you. When the time is right, I'll leave a city. He suddenly looked up at me, disbelief in his eyes. Gongki, you know me. I could never do anything immoral. We missed our chance. That's it. No need to keep pestering. It's not good for any of us. Give him hope, then take it away. Show a little kindness, then retreat. These were all tactics Fuchenji taught me. I had to admit, he had Gongki completely figured out. I stepped back. You should go. After Gongqi left that day, there was no word from him for a long time. Fu Chenji found me. Teacher Jiu. Time to give him a little push. Fu Chenji took me to an auction, where he bid high and won a pink diamond necklace. After the auction, he led me to sign the confirmation papers. We happened to run into Gongqi and Shen Qiao. Gongqi saw me, seemed to want to speak, but held back, constrained by the setting. Fu Chenji paid the full amount on the spot and promptly gave the pink diamond necklace to me. I feigned surprise. He smiled indulgently. Qingqing deserves it. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Gongqi clench his fists. But he had no standing, no appropriate identity to throw that punch. Fu Chenji took my hand and led me away. After that, he began courting me openly and enthusiastically. Gongqi couldn't sit still anymore. He cornered me again at my apartment. Why? Have you fallen for Fu Chenji? His grip on my right hand was painful. He's my boss. My tone was resigned. The Gong group welcomes you back. Come back. I curled my lips slightly. Would Miss Shen allow it? Gongqi, I have some self-respect. His expression darkened. She doesn't dictate my decisions and she can't interfere with Gong group matters. I tried to soothe him. Fu Chenji is just having a momentary whim. It'll pass. No, it won't. I know him. He's a mad dog. Once he bites into something, he won't let go easily. I frowned. He's not as bad as you say. Seeing me defend him, Gongqi's face completely darkened. We parted on bad terms. Soon after, Fu Chenji sent me a video. In it were a hysterical Shen Qiao and a grim-faced Gongqi. Gongqi, are you just pathetic? When you were with her, you thought of me. Now you're with me, and you think of her. What do you take me for? You compare me to Ji Qing. Just mentioning her name makes me feel dirty. Gongqi stood up and slapped her. Incredulity, rage, hatred, ... These emotions played across Shen Qiao's face in rapid succession. In that moment, I was filled with immense satisfaction. I had shattered over 20 years of her pride. She had always been sure that no matter who Gongqi played games with, he was hers. A crook of her finger and he'd come. Gongqi broke up with her. Shen Qiao refused. Proud as she was, how could she bear such a defeat? After 2 days of stalemate, Gongqi, showing no mercy, moved out of their love nest and blatantly moved into the apartment across from mine. He was afraid. Afraid Fu Chenji would win me over. They were rivals in business, and now rivals in love. After a few days of Gongqi's relentless pursuit, I quickly gave in and let him into my home. He lay with his head on my lap, looking up at me with expectant eyes. Ji Qing, let's remarry. Isn't it a bit early to remarry? I played with the hair on his forehead. Miss Shen will be sad. Besides, I still had a big gift to give you. He sat up, cupped my face in his hands. His eyes filled with a nauseating depth of emotion. I just want to make up for everything I owe you all at once. You can't make up for it, Gongqi. Can you give me back my mother? That you can love me is enough for me. I never thought my own voice could sound so disgusting. He was satisfied with my answer. Ji Qing, quit the Fu group. Okay. I agreed readily. Gongqi acted as if he truly wanted to make amends. He made a high-profile donation to build several schools, naming them after us the Qingqi elementary schools. Not only that, he purchased a plot of land, saying he wanted to build a manor, our wedding home. I was so moved I nearly wept. Teacher Ji's acting really is impressive. Fu Chenji called me late at night. I glanced at the sleeping Gongqi and stepped onto the balcony. How's it going? Need you to turn up the heat a little. I hadn't been talking to him long when I heard a faint noise behind me. Gongqi stood at the balcony's glass door. I didn't know how long he'd been there. Who are you calling so late? I lied without changing my expression. A friend from Cameroon. He came over, wrapped his arms around me from behind, and rested his chin on my shoulder. He sounded a bit displeased. Don't they know about time zones? When I was in Cameroon, I usually slept very late. Why? Can't sleep? Just too much work. He buried his face in my neck, his voice muffled. Can't you just humor me? Say you missed me so much you couldn't sleep. So this is what Gongqi was like when he fell in love. I can't say such mushy things. He bit my shoulder lightly, not hard, more like flirtation. At my prompting, Gongki proposed to me with great fanfare. He invited a famous band to play his favorite song for me in unison. Now I know there's no need to be so nervous, cannot hide this love. My love is as deep as the sea, cannot part for a lifetime. Gongki, tone deaf, threw caution to the wind and sang this song earnestly on stage. Ji Ching, marry me. The moment he knelt, I choked up, unable to speak. With my deliberate push, this video spread widely. Countless people were moved to tears by our love story of mending what was broken. Shen Qiao, watching on her screen, had probably smashed her phone in anger by now. She had once openly described her dream proposal scenario in an interview. The man she loved most would definitely sing her favorite song. This very song, Zui Ai, and kneel on one knee, asking her to marry him. Look, Shen Qiao, what you desperately wanted but couldn't have. Gongki was willing to give me with just a flick of my finger. You, his childhood sweetheart, are truly a failure. Not long after accepting the proposal, I was kidnapped. I woke up in an abandoned factory, surrounded by darkness, the air thick with the smell of dust. I don't know how long passed before the factory gate creaked open. Shen Qiao entered from the doorway, followed by several burly men. Come, let's have a look at our elegant, knowledgeable, charming Mrs. Gong. I hadn't had water for half a day. My voice was terribly hoarse. What do you want? To play a little game with you. She directed the men to pour water on me. A pungent smell hit me, followed by a searing pain all over my body. The bucket contained chili water. Luckily, I kept my eyes closed so it didn't get in. But Shen Qiao wasn't going to let me off. Wearing gloves, she roughly pried my eyelids open. Mrs. Gong, look us in the eye, why don't you? The chili water seeped into my eyes, stinging until tears streamed down my face. It hurt so much, like countless needles stabbing into my eyes simultaneously. So that deadpan face of yours can cry too. Is this how you cried and won Gongki back? She slapped me, her nails scratching my face. The chili water flowed into the wound, and I cried out in pain. How dare you? You're cheap and foul. How dare you compete with me for Gongki? I'd heard these words too many times, so they didn't bother me. I just asked her, do you still remember my mother? I couldn't see her expression, only heard her shout loudly. Break her other arm too. She was feeling guilty. Shen Qiao, you're too foolish. Too impulsive. A little provocation. And she took the bait. The factory door was soon opened again. I heard Fu Chenji's shout, Ji Ching. His voice trembled unexpectedly. It's okay. Smart as he was, he hadn't anticipated Shen Qiao being this ruthless. I even managed to smile and ask him, how many years in prison does this amount of damage get? I was happy. I had stripped away Shen Qiao's glamorous facade. She would experience a life she'd never known, become the kind of person she despised most, be reviled by the world. I was taken to the hospital, my eyes wrapped in thick gauze, my only arm also in a cast. Gongki rushed over upon hearing the news. By my bedside, his voice choked with sobs. It's all my fault. All my fault. I should have stayed with you. I didn't think Shen Qiao would be this crazy. Ji Ching, I can't imagine life without you. Crazy? A long time ago, she dared to have someone run down my mother with a car. What's this compared to that? Gongki even thanked his sworn enemy Fu Chenji. Thank you. Thanks to you. Ji Ching was saved. The relief in his words reminded me of 4 words surviving a disaster. But Gongki, next time you won't be so lucky. Gongki accompanied me in the hospital almost every day. Finally, one day he didn't show up. Numerous underprivileged students came forward, exposing the Gong education group's unequal contracts. My signature was prominently at the top. I detailed, one by one, how the Gong group had exploited my value over the years. The Gong group funded those children, and from then on, their fates were firmly in the group's grasp. This caused an uproar, arousing widespread sympathy. As soon as the scandal broke, Gong group's stock plummeted. Gongki was probably up to his neck in trouble right now. Too bad I couldn't see it. Fu Chenji fed me a segment of orange. Teacher Ji, the show is starting. That night, I finally slept well for once. I had stabbed Gongki in the back. I thought he wouldn't come anymore. But late one night, he still showed up at my hospital bedside. He asked me, why? I just did what I should have done. I didn't exaggerate or belittle anyone. I just stated the facts. I was grateful to the Gong family, but they had indeed done things they shouldn't have. Those children should have had broader horizons, not be manipulated, spending their lives working for the Gong group. Jiu Qing, do you love me? How did he still have the leisure to dwell on such questions? I was perfunctory. I did once. He left, his footsteps dragging heavily. After that day, scandals about the Gong group sprouted like mushrooms after rain. The most serious was the school that collapsed 10 years ago. Donated by the Gong group, it had happened just 1 year after completion. The incident had been suppressed back then. But now, someone with a motive had dug it up. Gong Qi and others involved were detained. When a wall is about to collapse, everyone gives it a push. Gong Qi had once been close to the Shen family. But because of me, he lost this powerful ally. While Gong Qi was desperately trying to get out, Fu Chenji moved faster. When Gong Group's stock plummeted, he had already widely acquired shares from retail investors, then allied with the collateral branch of the Gong family, successfully installing them in Gong Qi's position. This was the grand game he had been playing, long planned, step by step. Gong Qi was no match for him. The next time I saw Gong Qi was 10 days later. I was video calling with the children in Cameroon. The kids were full of energy, chatting with me in broken Chinese. Teacher, when are you coming back? Teacher, we miss you. The door opened and Gong Qi appeared behind me. He had a key to the apartment. Anyway, I was leaving soon, so I hadn't changed the lock. Gong Qi stood at the door, looking at me from afar. He looked terrible. Unshaven, lips chapped, hair nearly covering his eyes, utterly disheveled. He had probably come straight to me after getting out. I looked away first, said softly to the children, Teacher will be back in a few days. I'll bring you gifts. They cheered, the sounds from the phone jarring against the scene in the apartment. I ended the video call and smiled at Gong Qi. You're back? As if greeting an old friend not seen for a long time. He didn't ask me what role I had played in the whole affair. He just dragged his feet slowly towards me, his gaze still full of affection. When he was 3 steps away, he opened his arms to me. I didn't move. I just looked at him and smiled. The light in his eyes dimmed, inch by inch. Ji Qing, I only have you left. His voice was terribly hoarse. So this favored son of heaven could also speak to me like this, in such a pleading tone. I was still smiling. But I don't only have you. To me, this was just an act. Now that the act was over, it was time for me to leave the stage. Gong Qi, I really did love you. I'm not lying. Happiness was once within reach for both of us. But you destroyed it all. He grabbed my shoulders, eagerly trying to explain. I'll make it up to you. Give me a chance, please, Jiu Qing. Give me a chance. I cruelly gave him hope. Gong Qi, do you want my forgiveness? Light burst forth in his eyes. But my next words completely shattered that glimmer of expectation. Then die, Gong Qi. Go and keep my mother company. He froze. His arms slowly fell to his sides. You know, don't you? You know what Shen Qiao did to my mother. But you said nothing. You even covered for her. Hid her crime. Am I right? His lips moved, but no words came out. My guess was correct. You never loved anyone, Gong Qi. You only love yourself. Go now, Gong Qi. I don't hate you anymore. But I can't love you again either. Don't tell me how much you love me. It just makes me sick. His eyes reddened. He said one last thing to me before leaving. A long, long overdue. I'm sorry. The apartment fell silent. Fu Chenji walked out of the bedroom. Teacher Jiu is truly heartless. I ignored his taunt. You should be happy. I didn't feel particularly happy. Instead, there was a strange sense of emptiness. It's okay if you're not happy. Teacher Jiu, I have good news. Shen Qiao agreed to see you. There was one question I always wanted to ask Shen Qiao. I wanted to ask her why. She gave me her answer. I wanted to see what expression you'd have on your face when your mother died. Her malice was that simple and straightforward. I asked her, what expression did I have? She said she didn't remember. I said I remembered. I remember crouching outside the operating room, my hands and feet icy cold, my whole body trembling. No one knew how scared I was. I even tried to convince myself that the woman inside wasn't my mother. After she disappeared, she never came back. I almost viciously thought, even if the person inside died, my mother would still be alive and well somewhere in the world. When the operating room door opened, I didn't even dare listen to the doctor. I was too terrified. "We resuscitated the patient, little girl. Go get your family to pay." Joy flooded my mind, followed by a crushing sense of powerlessness. I had no money at all. The psychiatric hospital took some responsibility for poor supervision, but the remaining part, I couldn't afford no matter what. That's when Chen Qiao appeared, together with Gong Qi. This perfect couple looked down at me from their height. "Aki, look how pitiful she is. Let's help her." I was so blinded by hope and emotion that I ignored the blatant malice on her face. I was too foolish. Otherwise, my mother wouldn't have suffered injustice for so many years. Luckily, it wasn't too late. "Shen Qiao, you have a long time to reminisce. You'll remember." With that, I walked out of the prison visiting room without looking back. The day I left the city, it rained heavily. Only Fu Chenji came to see me off. He wore a black trench coat, his smile faint. "Teacher Ji Yu, do you really have to go?" "Yes. Seems what Gong Qi couldn't do, I can't do either." His voice was very soft, almost a murmur. I didn't catch it. "What?" "Teacher Ji Yu, I wish you a safe journey." He saw my hesitation and asked, "Is there something you want to say, Teacher Ji?" "Why me?" He never needed my help. He could have dealt with Gong Qi alone. I was just the icing on the cake, driving a wedge between the Shen and Gong families, making Gong Qi taste betrayal. "Teacher Ji, haven't you figured out who I am yet? Did we know each other before?" I stared at his face, searching my memories. After losing my mother, I thought about wasting my life away. I ran away from the Fu family, wandered everywhere. Then I met you, teaching in that volunteer program. You had a kind of vigorous vitality about you that changed my mind. And mayfly trying to topple a tree sounds ridiculous, but you have to try, right? So, I returned to the Fu family and got justice for my mother. The mayfly toppled the tree. Almost forgot to tell you, my name used to be Luo Chen Sheng. The name didn't ring a bell. It's okay if you don't remember. Just remember, because of you, I became who I am today. Fu Chenji still wore that slight smile on his face. "Goodbye, Teacher Jiu." He turned and left decisively. It dawned on me belatedly that he hadn't really answered my question. After the plane landed, I turned on my phone and saw a video Fu Chenji had sent. It was a clip from a popular TV drama. In the background, there was a monologue. "Why should you remain unstained by dust? Why should you be clean and pure, draped in white? Why should you stand amidst the turmoil, yet remain outside the fire and flood? Don't sit on that high pedestal. You need to fall down. A good person like you should be just as bad as me." It wasn't about repaying a favor. In that moment, I understood the phrase he always used. We are the same. I wasn't before. But now I am. The end?